Welcome everybody to Crypto Rosetta. My name is Savage. Today we're going to be having a look at AAVE. This is going to be a lower time frame video. We do have our higher time frame video up above, so check that out if you haven't already. We'll give you good context of the moves we're going to go over in this video. Okay, so let's get into the charts and see what's going on. Okay, so the two ways that we're looking at this is that potentially we are looking at either this as a bigger A, B, and a C pattern, in which case we're looking for the possibility that we could actually develop a 5-wave move to the upside here. 1-to-1 would actually be this 119.99, and we'd be looking for this third wave potential as well if we do see price reacting in a bigger way here, where we could see a push up towards this 213, but we'd have to see the correct structure forming for this to actually play out. Now, if we are looking at this slightly different, we could also argue that this structure here is a W wave. Here we have an X, and then we're looking for this as a bigger ABC pattern. So we're going to go into this idea here, and we're going to come in a bit closer. Now, what we'd be looking for within this structure here is that we'd be saying that this move could be potentially completed as an A wave here. We're looking for a B wave, our support zone. We've already come into the higher end of this, which would be a 382, which would be a very rare target, but it is still a target nonetheless. So we need to be respectful of that. If we do see price come down deeper though, we could actually move down as deep as this 53.99, and this could just be the first part of the move. So we're going to go over these internals now. If we do look at this as a bigger A, B, and a C here, effectively what we could see is that this C wave could be looking to start to play out directly, in which case what we'd be looking for as a potential 1-to-1 here would actually be towards this zone here of this 126. However, if we do come down lower here into this lower target box, like I said, potentially we could be looking for something like a move down into this golden pocket area and then looking for this push to the upside at a later point. Okay, so we're going to discuss what the internals of this move could be here and what we would actually be looking for to the upside. So looking at the internals of this structure, there's two ways that we could potentially look at this. We could argue that we have this as just a corrective move here, in which case what we have is this is a W, this is an X, and we could say that this is A, B, C, and completed. Now, if we are looking at this in this way, effectively what we would then be saying is that the A wave is completed, but I haven't written off the idea here that within this structure, what we could actually have is that this move here is an A wave, this is A, B, and then this is actually a C wave. And what we could be looking for is the possibility of another push to the upside in this C wave. Now this C wave 1-to-1 would push us up towards this 96.37, and the 1-to-1 of the W wave would actually be up here towards this 93.76. Now there is a target box up here which I'm keeping an eye on, which does have some levels in it. We do have the possibility of swing failing this high here, as well as that we do have a daily naked point of control towards this 91.78, and this 89.64 would align with our monthly naked point of control. So if we do see price push up here one more time where we continue to hold these lows and develop a 5-wave structure, potentially we could be looking for something along these lines. But even if we do form a 5-wave move up here, we need to be careful, because if we get 5 waves up and we only get 3 waves down, this could actually imply that we're having that extension for that bigger C wave directly, and we've just had a very shallow B wave here. So we'd have to be careful of that idea that if we push up in a bigger way here, we could be directly in that C wave. Now the other way we could argue that this is playing out is that we could say that this move in itself is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now this is a lower confidence move because this would be an expanding diagonal, and these are not very common. The idea here would be the same though, that we could have a into this high, except this would be in a 5-wave structure. So if we do see price actually continue to retrace here and look for a deeper retracement into our B wave level, potentially we could look for this idea that this becomes 1, 2, and then we look for that bigger push to the upside. So that's what I'm looking for within these internals here. Now it is possible, like I said, that if we have this as a 5-wave move here, what we could be looking for is the idea that this is A, we get a B wave down, and then we look for either a C wave or potentially that breakout potential of a 5-wave structure. Depending on how low we come here, our 1618 would actually be here at this 164.38 if we did get a move down towards that golden pocket. Off of where we currently are, the impulsive trigger would actually be much higher here towards this 186.53. So we'd have to move up much higher here from this current position, that if we want to look at this as an impulse, without actually pushing down deeper. This is why I think there is some likelihood that we could see price still look to push to the downside here. Now, if we were talking about that potential that, this could be a corrective move here, what we could see is two things. So if we are looking at this corrective move internally over here, what we could say is that within the structure, we have this as A, B, and C. Now, this could just be a completed move. If we are looking at that possibility that this is an A wave, this is a B wave, and we look to push up for a C wave. Alternatively, this could actually just become a W move here, and then we could actually see an X wave to the upside. So until we actually break above the 78.40 to the 74.50, there is potential here that we could just see a 3-wave move to the upside. Now this is already 3 waves here. What we could get is this could be A, B, and C, something like this. Still reject here and then look to break to the downside. 1-to-1 off of our current high is sitting at the 62.87. If we did have to move up higher here, potentially towards a 618, then that would move up towards that 63.65. If we do move up towards our 786, that would move this into our little target box that we got down here. So keeping an eye on this area lower down here as a possible zone we could be attracted to. There are some daily, weekly, and monthly naked points of control in here, as well as the potential to come back here and swing fail this little low that we've got over here. So going to be keeping an eye on this zone if we do see price looking to break down. Now, if this is completed here and we're looking at this as WX, and then we're looking for a Y wave, what we'd be looking for is 3 waves to the downside. So we'd be looking for either something like a 5-wave move down, 3 waves up, another 5-wave move down, or alternatively a 3-wave move, 3-wave move, and then a 5-wave move to complete it, something like a flat correction. So that's what we'd be looking for within the count here. Now the other way we could argue that this is taking place is that if we do complete into this high here, what we could have is that this move is here is 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and what we'd then be looking for is the potential of this as either a wave 2 or a B wave. Now if this is a ABC as a zigzag, what we'd be looking for is 3 waves to the upside here and then another 5-wave move down. So this is why we have this alternative C wave here. If we do see a move down into this zone, what we'd be looking for is, like I said, 3 waves down, and then we want to see a 5-wave move to the upside. If we move down towards this 1-to-1 level and we fail to then see a 5-wave move up, we need to be very careful that this isn't going to look to extend to the downside. Now this 1-to-1 is off of our current level here. If we do look to push up higher here, potentially we could then look to move these targets up as well. So going to be keeping an eye on this. If we do see price look to push to the upside here, it could change these downside targets, but the idea would be the same here, that if we do reject, what we need to be careful of is a single 5-wave move that comes towards 1-to-1 is fine as a corrective structure. If, however, we get a 5-wave move that breaks down in a bigger way and we see a move down towards this 1618, this would actually mean that what we have is 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 to the downside. Now, this would not be good because this would then mean that we have to see another move to the downside afterwards. So if we see 5 waves like this could actually imply that we're going to start to break down in a bigger way. Now, moving in and having a look at this little smaller area here that we got, looking for that potential that we could be looking at this as either ABC for a B wave, or alternatively WXY. So we're going to go over the WXY option first. So if we're looking at this as a W, an X, and a Y, what we could see is this could be A, B, C to the upside here. We could be looking for another A, B, and C to the downside. This is the most likely option in my opinion here, is that we could be looking at this move here as 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So with that in mind, that means that we should get a secondary move. If we stay below this 74.38 and this invalidation point of the 75.13, we could be looking at a move like this, where this becomes A, we get B and C down. Our common target zone for a rejection for a B wave here would be this 74.38 to the 73.38. So we have come up into this area already. What we would be looking for is the potential that this could be A, B, and C, in which case what that 1-to-1 would actually be is a little bit higher up here towards this zone here of this 73.97. Now that would align with coming back up into this golden pocket area. So if we see price push up in this way, this could be what's playing out. Now what we'd be looking for here effectively would be to see whether this move actually finds support here. If we get a move down like this, 1, 2, and then we see a third wave which actually hits our invalidation point here at this 68.16, we need to be very careful here, because this could then mean that this is actually starting a 5-wave move where this becomes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then that would effectively become the next part of this leg to the downside. So then at that point we'd have to be on the lookout that this is 1, 2, and then we'd be looking for that bigger breakdown potential directly. So that's what we want to avoid if we want to look for some upside here. If we do find support in this blue box area, we could then potentially see 3 waves to the upside, looking to push us up into that possible target area here, where we're looking at this as either a wave 2 or a B wave, in which case the 1-to-1 would bring us towards this 50%, which is sitting here at the 77.46. Alternatively, higher up here towards this golden pocket would be a very interesting area because we have some swing highs up in this zone. So we're going to have to keep an eye on that if we do see price move up in that way. Now, if we do look to actually look at the structure slightly different, what we could also argue here is that within this move, we could argue this is 1, 2, this is 1, 2, this all becomes 3, 4, and 5. Now, if this is the case where this becomes 1, 2, 3, what we could do, as long as we hold this zone of the 7208, would be look for the possibility of a fifth wave up. Now, a fifth wave target would be the 7708 to the 7587. What we'd want to see here for confirmation is see price continue to hold these lows and form a series of 1s and 2s, then get a 3, 4, 5, 4, and a 5, something like this, looking to push us up into these levels. If we do see a move up in this way, this would then align with the idea of a 5-wave structure here. And then what we'd be looking for would be the potential that this could actually be an A wave. We get 3 waves down for a B wave, and then we'd be looking for a potential C wave to the upside. 1 to 1 would bring us towards a 79.27, which would be bringing us back into those highs that we previously talked about. So that would align quite nicely with that idea of a deeper retracement. However, what we'd have to be cautious of here is that if we do see price push to the upside in a bigger way here, what we could see is a 5-wave move up towards this 1618 at this 8503, then looking for that possibility of a retracement in a 4th, and then we could still get a 5th wave to the upside, target being this 88.76 to this 86.42. If we do see a 5-wave move up in this way, this would then align with that idea that within the structure we could have this as A, B, and C, and that could then mean that this is a Y wave completed. Alternatively, if we get a 5-wave move up in this way, what we'd have to watch is that if we only get 3 waves back down, this could actually imply that we start to extend out here. So going to be keeping an eye on this if we do see price continue to the upside in this way. Having a look at our daily CPR lines here, what we can see is that we're currently battling through these central lines, which are sitting here towards the 73.37 to the 72.78. If we do continue to hold this level, potentially we could see price get gravitated to the upside here, where we have this 74.50 as a target as our R1, and then we also do have this previous daily high here, which could be quite an interesting area to keep an eye on if we do see price come up here. Now, if we do move above these levels and we do actually look to turn this into support, what we could see is price could actually start to push to the upside. Upside targets would be the 76.56, we have the 78.04, and this $80.08. If, however, we fail to do this and either we get a 3-wave move up into the zone and then reject down, or alternatively we just fail to actually reclaim these, what we could see is price could then move to the downside here. 71.63 would be the previous day low here, and then what we'd be looking at is the possibility of this S1 line at $71 finding support at this point. If we lose this level, other downside targets for today would be this area here of the 69.60. We have this 67.55 and this lower level here of the 66.11 as possible targets to the downside for today. Now, having a look at some other points here, if we look at the weekly, what we can see is we are currently below our weekly pivot lines here. If we fail to reclaim these, what we could actually see is price could then start to fall off to the downside. Where we could find resistance here is at this 73.22. We have this 74.18 and we have the 75.09 as possible resistance areas to the upside. If we do look to break to the downside, possible targets would be the 68.91. We have this 65.50 and this lower target area here of the $60.27. for this week. If we do manage to flip these into support, what we could then see is price could actually be gravitated into these areas here of the 77.56. We have this 82.85 and this area here of this 86.23 as possible targets to the upside for this week. Now, if we have a look at the monthly CPR lines here, what we can see is that we are currently between our R1 line and our top center pivot line. So if we do see price move back to the downside here this month, potentially we could look to find support here on these central pivot lines, which are sitting between the 67.65, we have the 64.87, we have the 62.02 as possible support lines to the downside. If we do see price actually move to the upside here again, potentially we could look to retest our one line here at this 82.51. Other targets to the upside for this month is this 94.56, and we have this 112.05, but there isn't that much time left for this month, so just need to bear that in mind. If we do start to lose these central lines, however, what we could see is price could actually be gravitated towards this S1 line here at this 52.86. So need to keep an eye on these as potential pivot points as price moves through these levels and see how we interact with them. Okay, so I'm going to leave the video there. I hope you found it useful. If you did, please smash the like button, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, turn on those bell notifications so you never miss a video. Leave us some feedback down below, and also in the description you'll find a link to the Discord. Come check it out, it is free to join. Everyone have a great day. We'll see you in the next one. Take care.